The B-17 Flying Fortress became a symbol of daylight bombing in World War II. It was built to take punishment, stay in formation, and bring crews home. But over Europe, its toughest enemy was often not a fighter plane. It was the wall of flak, anti-aircraft artillery that filled the sky with steel. Daylight bombing was a gamble from the start. The U.S. 8th Air Force believed that precision attacks on factories, oil, and transportation could cripple Germany. The theory depended on tight formations, accurate bombing sights, and defensive firepower. The B-17 carried multiple machine guns, a rugged airframe, and a reputation for surviving damage that would destroy other bombers. But flak did not need to hit the cockpit to be lethal. German 88mm guns fired shells that exploded in timed bursts. These bursts scattered shrapnel in a lethal radius, slicing wings, engines, and fuselages. A single burst could cut control cables, puncture fuel lines, or injure crew members. A near miss could still cripple a bomber. The flak network itself was massive. Germany built layered defenses around key industrial zones like the Ruhr, Berlin, and oil refineries. Searchlights, radar, and spotter crews guided the guns. The goal was to force bombers into predictable altitudes and corridors, then saturate those corridors with exploding shells. B-17 crews described the experience as flying through a black storm. Explosions rattled the aircraft, the formation shook, and fragments slammed into metal. The sky would bloom with bursts around the box formation, and no crew knew which burst would find them. Even if a bomber made it through, damage could scatter the formation and make it vulnerable to fighters. In 1943, the cost was enormous. Raids on targets like Schweinfurt and Regensburg showed how deadly daylight missions could be without long-range fighter escort. Losses were severe, and the psychological toll on crews was constant. Flak accounted for a significant share of those losses, often alongside fighters. The B-17's design did matter. Its robust wings, strong spars, and multiple engines allowed some aircraft to limp home with major damage. There are documented cases of bombers returning with huge sections of tail missing or engines knocked out. That survivability became part of the aircraft's legend, but it did not erase the cost. Many crews never made it back. Technology and tactics evolved. Improved radar-directed flak increased accuracy, but bombers adapted with chaff. Strips of metallic foil dropped to confuse radar. Bombing altitudes shifted, formations tightened or spread, and crews learned to fly through flak corridors with minimal disruption. By 1944, long-range escort fighters like the P-51 Mustang reduced losses to fighters, but flak remained a constant threat. Over heavily defended cities, the flak belts were as dangerous as ever. The bombers could not fly above or around them. They had to pass through. In the end, the daylight bombing campaign did not collapse Germany by itself, but it did strain production, destroy oil capacity, and force the Luftwaffe to fight on unfavorable terms. The B-17 and its crews paid a brutal price for those results. The duel between B-17S and flak was not glamorous. It was mechanical, relentless, and often invisible from the ground. It was a war of steel and timing, where survival depended on seconds, altitude, and luck. The B-17's toughness gave it a fighting chance, but flak proved that even the strongest airframe could be broken. If you want more WW2 engineering breakdowns with real historical images, subscribe to Moments Before Zero.